Hello and welcome to the TRBusiness video channel. I'm joined here once again by Julian Diaz, the Chief Executive Officer of Dufry Group. Julian, welcome back.
Thank you very much, and obviously it's a great pleasure to participate again.
Great. Julian, I want to drill now more deeply into the mechanics of the Dufry business. H&A Group recently closed its recent acquisition of the Dufry share, the shareholding. I wanted to ask you about the potential prospect that H&A may move to increase that shareholding. Does it worry you, or do you view it more positively in terms of what H&A can add to the business, given their tourism experience?
Well, obviously, all the important investors have relevant opinions, and I hope that we will be able to really, develop these opinions and initiatives in the proper way. H&A is a very important investor for us. On top of the financial side, is also because the possibilities or synergies that we can identify together. And I think to elaborate these synergies is, in my view, one of the most important and relevant facts of H&A's investment in Dufry.
Now, Dufry said it is in talks with H&A about possible areas of collaboration. I know that the Chinese market is one particular area that stands out. How are those talks progressing? And how do you see H&A's experience in travel tourism potentially strengthening the Dufry business?
Well, the project in itself is already started. We have had several meetings between two teams in different areas, from air carriers to hotels or to tour operators. And the process will require time, because we need also to really define properly the scope. We cannot be, open scope in the world, we have to do everything. No, we have obviously the intention to put the focus in a specific scope regarding the Asian customers, especially the Chinese customers, not only in China, but worldwide. We have today 350 locations operating in 64 countries with around 2,500 shops. I think there is a great opportunity. But for achieving a real value in this new project, what we need is to define properly the scope and the target. And we have already passed through this phase. Personally, I am very pleased that we have a common view about the target and about how to get the target.
Now, H&A, as you're aware, have a strong track record of majority acquisitions in companies, and they're particularly strong in Asia, as we've identified. Do you feel now that this closer relationship is a signal that Dufry's time in Asia is really now?
Before this announcement, this disclosure done by H&A, I think we have been very clear. There is a clear intention from Dufry to expand the travel retail in Asia in specific channels and territories. I am not obviously going to be specific because this is part of the strategy of the company. But with this investment from H&A, I feel that we are stronger now in order to really, and first of all, understand the markets, and secondly, for developing the strategies in each of the markets. As you know, Asia is not an entity. There are different Asias, there are different countries, different legislations, different approaches. With this new Asian shareholder, I feel like we have gained this part of, obviously, of the business model that probably we were missing, is the local aspect.
I want to turn to the financials of the business. Half-year sales were positive, and indeed gross profit margin was soared to around 6%, due in part to the expected synergies from the World Duty Free integration. Are you satisfied with the results and the synergies achieved so far, or has the business taken longer to develop?
Well, just one thing, that this is not black and white. Okay, if the question is regarding the synergies were identified, implemented, and will be reflected in the P&L in 2017. This is confirmed. As a consequence, I can say I am satisfied with that. The question has another answer, is this part of the integration extracting the maximum value possible due to this acquisitions. I am talking about Nuance and World Duty Free. The answer is no, because still we are missing one part of the integration, is the global standardization. And what we have done is we have organized a company, a structure, process and procedures, systems that from the global point of view works, and we know that the integration is done. Now the second phase that will take from now to December 2018 is the implementation of the new business operating model that obviously will standardize the way of operating in the different countries.
And I wanted to pick up on that new business operating model. You've already talked about the launch of, I understand, 17 next generation duty-free stores between now and the end of 2018. Can you provide an update on that particular strategy and specifically which countries you will look to implement those stores in?
Yes, we have started and we tested in 2 countries. One is Switzerland, the other one is Mexico. And then we have obviously continue with different waves. Now we are in South America, then we'll move to the US and Canada, and gradually all the countries in Dufry will be with the business operating model implementation. So far, we have learned a lot of things. Obviously, standardization is a very broad word. Standardization requires adaptation to depending on the countries, depending on legislation and many things. And I think that we are in the position now to go faster. The target is standardize, to be more efficient, and to deliver to the P&L around 50 million is what I said to the market, Swiss francs at EBITDA level inefficiencies. And this is going to happen in 2018. As a consequence, the company today is focused as a priority in the implementation of the business operating model.
I wanted to ask you particularly about the American business, and one of the stated considerations is an IPO for the North American business. Where do you currently stand on this? Can you give us an update? And if it goes ahead, how will it help to revive what some in the industry may see as a stagnant market in travel retail?
Well, as you know, the travel retail market in the US is a bit different than in the rest of the world. We have been considering the new strategic plan that was approved by the board of directors in December last year, different alternatives to continue with the same level of growth. One of the alternatives that we were discussing was the food and beverage. No food and beverage worldwide, because we are not prepared and we don't have the skills to operate food and beverage, but analyzing the US and Canada market. As you know, the structure of the business is 60-65% is food and beverage. The remaining part is retail. And within this retail, the most important part is convenience stores. And we are very strong in convenience store. It's Hobbies Hudson, the most important convenience store concept worldwide. We are very strong in duty free in many different parts of the US and Canada. And the decision that we raised at that time is to invest in developing the food and beverage market in the US for continuing with the same level of growth that we have had over the past years, and to invest in other channels that is less relevant, but in any case is the master concessionaire that we already negotiated with one April. As a consequence, the profile of the investors in the company that are more related with retail should be obviously informed and should be aware that if we invest in food and beverage, it's because the market requires that. But it's not a global issue, it's a local issue in the US and Canada. And in parallel with that, obviously there are very good valuations in the US in terms of the stock exchange, good multiples compared with other parts of the world, and it's also an opportunity for extract value from this operation and facilitate the company at global level. Number one, obviously, to strengthen the balance sheet, and as a consequence, to move forward, investing in other markets like Asia, where our strategy, with including organic growth and acquisitions, could be implemented. And the strength of the obviously balance sheet, the acceleration of our strategy again, and the continuation of the global vision of Dufry global company are fitting properly with the IPO. The IPO will happen, I don't know, because depends on obviously if we reach the level of valuation that we believe is fair for this great asset. We are not in a hurry. It's an alternative. If at the time that the IPO is decided, will be decided, the valuation we may reach is fine, we will go to the IPO. If it's not fine, we are not going to do it.
So it seems that there's a clear roadmap now for the future of investment, and obviously, as you've touched upon, that will hinge on that valuation. I wanted to draw your attention to another area of development, that's the cruise business. Mm-hmm. Now, I know recently you launched the Dufry, the Dufry Cruise Services channel, the Centre of Excellence in Miami. Can you provide a little bit more insight into your ambitions for what is clearly a growing channel within Dufry? It accounts for a smaller part of your global turnover. And also, I'd be keen to hear your insight into how your Norwegian cruise business aims to kind of accelerate and capture a bigger share of the market in China.
Okay. Well, we are not desperate to get any market share. This is not how we work. What we try is to create a good, profitable, sustainable business. How the cruise line business is fitting within Dufry's strategy, I think that it fits properly, 100%. And this is something that is not new. I think in the past, when somebody asked me what are the channels that Dufry consider as a development for the strategy, I always mention cruise lines. But obviously, due to the acquisitions, due to the allocation of capital in airports, we were more focused in that, and we were more, in the maintenance mood in the cruise lines with one contract. Now we are operating 17 cruises. The business is a very difficult one. It's not easy. And what we try is to create a business model that will justify the returns that we are expecting from the business. So far, I said obviously that the returns are different if you are in Asia, or you are in the Caribbean, or you are in the Mediterranean. We would like to be in Asia, because obviously it's the most efficient way of investing the capital. It's not easy, but the intention of creating this center of know-how is to facilitate the organizations, divisions, to be provided with a level of know-how in case they need to operate this type of business. For example, in Asia, we are operating now the first step in one of these cruise lines. And our operation in Division 3, located in Hong Kong, has now the global know-how, providing them the support. And this, the Dufry Cruise Services, is facilitating the whole organization. Will learn the business very quickly. The intention is to expand the business in cruises.
Returning to Europe, finally, can you briefly outline the impact that the Brexit decision has had on your UK and Europe operations, considering the devaluation in the sterling? Yeah,
the first thing is, I remember June 23rd, when the Brexit was announced. It was a bit chaotic. Everybody's thinking that travel retail will be negatively impacted. What is going to happen here? Yeah. Two conclusions. We have reached the best ever spend per passenger in the UK since the moment of Brexit announcement, obviously facilitated by the good currency situation. But even in comparable basis, after the June 23rd, the significant increase in spend per passenger is still there. And the second thing, the passengers are growing, faster than ever. I don't remember the figure exactly, but it's around 6% in the UK. It's a very mature market. Still, the British passengers are traveling, and traveling quite often.
Julian, final question, and it's a broad one. If you had one objective to strengthen the business next year, what would it be, and why?
Well, in my view, there are three aspects of this answer, because obviously to say one single one is not easy. First of all is to create a sustainable, profitable business. Secondly is to have a solid concession portfolio. And third is to really reach the level of company that will be a good competitor for the internet online. If you combine these three things, probably you will see the answer.
Julian Diaz, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you very much.